election for the Business Loop 70 district is postponed. This comes after the Community Improvement District Board learned there was one registered voter living within the district.
ABC 17's Taylor Petras joins us live from the newsroom. And Taylor, the tax in this district would generate about $200,000 a year.
And that money would go towards making improvements to the Business Loop 70 district. Today, several people voiced both their concerns and support for the proposed sales tax election. But ultimately, the board decided to wait a little bit longer for an election as they're now met with a single registered voter. 23-year-old MU student Jen Henderson sits and takes notes at today's Business Loop Community Improvement District meeting. She's the only registered voter living in the CID's boundaries, meaning she would be the sole person to decide on a proposed half-cent sales tax in the Business Loop.
At any point in time, they can decide whether or not to hold an election, and then there's a process that you follow, depending on whether or not you have registered voters within the boundaries, or if you don't, then the property owners are the voters.
Henderson refused the media's request for an interview after the meeting. CID board members unanimously decided to postpone the election on the proposed sales tax.
It's difficult to reach out and contact just one individual person. We are a public board, and we have to operate as a public board. So, we have to inform not just one voter, we have to inform the entire public of what we're doing.
Board members say they would use the money to make living near the Business Loop more attractive. They say things like installing more crosswalks to make it easier to get to the grocery store would help. Stephen Skolnick has lived near the Business Loop for nearly 30 years. He says he supports the CID's proposed sales tax and thinks it will improve his property value as well.
I've watched the crime rates go up on the Business Loop. I've watched good businesses move away, saying they were too concerned about the safety of their employees, which is a real concern. I've watched buildings be deserted and deteriorate.
Skolnick says he's frustrated by today's outcome to postpone an election. Other options to avoid an election would be to redraw the CID's boundary lines to exclude Henderson. But board members say that would cost too much time and money, which they don't have. After starting up the CID in April, the group is in debt more than $100,000.
We'll always consider those kinds of things, but I think it's highly unlikely. And, everybody that's in our district is there for a purpose. They're all stakeholders. We want them all. So I don't see that as being an option.
Burnham says they'll continue advocating for Business Loop district improvements, as well as continue to inform the public on the proposed sales tax election, including voter Jen Henderson. Reporting live in the newsroom, Taylor Petras, ABC 17 News.
There are 15 special taxing districts in Columbia, and the CID board members point out 4 of those districts already have a higher sales tax than the one it's proposing.